We're here in Monte Carlo for the Rendez-Vous de Septembre. For AM Best TV, I'm Richard Banks. And we're joined now by Thierry Léger, who's Group Chief Underwriting Officer for Swiss Re. Thierry, welcome.
Hi, Richard.
So it's been a long time since we've all gathered together in Monte Carlo. People are back together again now. How are people picking up from where they left off?
Yeah, I think after 3 years, I feel people have a lot of positive energy. They enjoy to meet again in person. And I think it's also very opportune to meet in person in a year that I think is a very important, crucial year in the world of insurance and reinsurance.
So it's a very different economic environment out there, a very different geopolitical environment out there. How are reinsurers reacting?
Yeah, so we are living a very volatile environment, so a very volatile world, very unprecedented in my career, certainly in reinsurance, and therefore I guess we are a little bit the voice of the industry at this point in time. We are raising awareness around what that actually means. What does inflation mean? What does it mean if there's a war in the Ukraine? What is the impact on supply chains meaning to insurance? So that's where we come in, I guess, at this point in time. Unfortunately, we are raising more issues than solutions at this point in time, but there's still time to go until 1 January to come up with solutions.
So that's an interesting point, because obviously people will look up to Swiss Re in these environments. Inflation, hard market. A lot of people won't have operated in these conditions before. What lessons can you bring to the table?
Yeah, so obviously in my career, I had already a hard market at the early 2000s. I think that the point is that Swiss Re is in this market for more than 150 years. So we are committed to remain with our clients, particularly through these difficult times. So what we would like to discuss is more the how. Then we don't want to talk about, are you still standing by me? We are standing by our clients. It will require discussions around how we're going to do it. The price is obviously a super important element in it, where we deploy the capacity, how we participate in the risk taking of our clients, and so on. So these are, I would say, the details, but important details that we have to talk about.
You talk about how you deploy capacity. A lot of talk about risk appetite here in Monte Carlo. A number of people perhaps pulling back from natural catastrophe, property, reinsurance. Swiss Re is staying the course there. Can you tell us a little bit about that decision?
Yeah, so I guess that the luxury that we have is to have our own balance sheet, so we can write risk on our own balance sheet. We don't depend on any third party behind us. That gives us now the confidence in these volatile times. You're a little bit the rock, I guess, in the sea. And building on this confidence, we can then really address the real issues, which is the topics I talked about before. So that gives us actually a position that is indeed different from others.
So the last 2 or 3 years have changed people's attitude to risk and to insurance. How does Swiss Re view that change?
I think it's a positive change. I'm actually encouraged by the fact that you pick it up in newspapers that before would never have talked about Monte Carlo and who's doing what here. I think that the world is slowly realizing that what is happening with climate change as one example, but also that for example, a war in a country can have an impact all across the world. They're waking up to the fact that this is indeed going to impact the reinsurers, the insurers, and then it's going to go to their clients for sure, right? And I guess it has gained in relevance, and the discussion around risk just helps us to have this dialogue with society, with governments. And I think that's the way we want to improve the world. And when we say we want to make the world more resilient, that's the path we see.
We've seen a bit more government intervention, perhaps in areas where reinsurers would perhaps have taken up a role before. How sustainable is that? What's the future role there?
Yeah, I think that the dialogue between governments and the insurance world is crucial in these times. I think there are risks that will be difficult to remain or keep insurable if there is not a collaboration between states and the insurance world. So I highly welcome the dialogue, and not on everything, but on some of the major challenges that we face as a world, more than just the insurance world.
So you talked about climate change and climate risk. Swiss Re, like AM Best, is the signatory of the UN Principles for Sustainable Insurance. We've seen some challenges perhaps posed by the geopolitical situation to that drive towards sustainability. How do you see that?
So we're totally committed to the principles in the long term, but we do recognize that in the shorter term, we have to adapt to the new reality we are in. And as Swiss Re, we are committed to be part of the solution in the long term, but also in the short term.
Thierry, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks you.
For AM Best TV, I'm Richard Banks.